Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Goaltending, where your why is bigger than your excuses. Today, we're diving into step 3 of the 5-step process to goaltending. I'm so excited to share the journey with you. But first, I really want to take a minute to acknowledge and just thank everybody that's been a part of helping to build and develop this podcast, of growing this community, of being involved with speaking engagements, joining as guests to share their knowledge, their time, their background, and experience to help others. I want to give a sincere thank you to everybody that's been involved in any way with helping to grow this community in this podcast. So thank you all, and thank you to everybody who's tuning in for allowing me to be a part of your journey. It truly means the world, and I'm excited to make an impact in your life. So I want to challenge you, take something away from the episode today, apply it to your journey, start taking action. And now I do want to remind you, today's episode is fueled by Prepping with Peppers. So excited to have them as a sponsor. Now, before we get into step 3, I want to give you a quick recap on steps 1 and 2. Step 1, identify your start and finish. So we got to figure out what the long-term goal is, and then we can backwards plan from it. So you use what everybody knows, that SMART acronym. You get specific about the goal you're setting. You're going to backwards plan from where you want to be long-term at the end of life. Then you can set your midterm and your short-term goals and figure out what milestones you need to hit along the way. And ask yourself, do the short-term goals I'm setting align with where I want to be long-term? That's how you get everything on track with figuring out your start and finish. Know where you are now in relationship to where you want to be. Then step 2, identify what you have to start with. This is your personal inventory. This is really figuring out your toolkit, is what I like to call it. So you're figuring out what knowledge, skills, and resources you currently have that are applicable to the goal you're pursuing. So what things do I have that are going to help and be useful that I can leverage to help me reach that goal? So that's what we're doing in step 2. So step 3 is make a plan for progress. This is where we get intentional into the actual planning, getting into the detail of what we need to do to accomplish our goal. And where that begins is, now that we know what the goal is we're going after, what tools we currently have to help us to get there, now we need to identify obstacles. What are the things that are going to get in our way of accomplishing this goal? And so before we get into that, I want to break it down to, there's a few different kinds of obstacles, or at least ways to think about obstacles. And that is, you're going to have obstacles that you know for sure, 100% certain, you know you're going to face these obstacles. Guaranteed. You have to have a good plan in place for all of the obstacles that you know for sure you're going to face. Then you have some obstacles that may or may not happen. You know that it's a possibility, but it might not ever happen. So you don't need to spend as much detailed time into it, but based on the probability of it happening, you know that it's a possibility. So you still need to have some kind of contingency plan, some kind of plan in place that is going to help you if it does end up occurring. So you know that it's a possibility. You need to put a plan in place. Then you have obstacles that someone else has gone through before, but you don't currently know that it's out there. Like you don't know right now that that's an obstacle you're going to face. That's where it becomes important to talk to other people who have been on a similar journey. Like talk to friends, family, people in your network. Leverage the relationships you currently have that you identified in step 2. Leverage those relationships to try to reveal more of the obstacles that you might face that you're currently unaware of, but other people know about. And then you have the completely unknown obstacles. Nobody could have foreseen it. Nobody else could have warned you about it. And there's no way that you could have, in your current situation, known that it's an obstacle you were going to face. So that's the 4 different kinds of obstacles that you can face on the journey to reaching your goal. Now we want to be intentional with having some kind of plan for every kind of obstacle that can come up. But we are going to spend the most time on the ones we know for sure are going to happen. So then you're going to list out. You can just write out, these are obstacles that I know I'm going to face, obstacles that have a higher probability of being faced, but may or may not happen. Then as you talk to people, you can continue to add obstacles to that list. And the more that you continue to work, you can continuously update this. This is a living plan. It's not something that's static, like once you set it, it's good to go. But you should continuously be updating this obstacle list as new obstacles are revealed once you start working towards your goal. And then once you have all your obstacles listed out, now to the side of each one, this is where we get into the plan. How will you overcome that obstacle? So you go down your list one at a time, and it should pretty much be in a prioritized order of, since these are for sure going to happen, I'm giving attention to these first. Since these might happen, I'm going to give attention to these next. As things are revealed, you can identify, is that for sure going to happen? Is it just something that may or may not happen? And then you add those in where they need to go in terms of prioritization and planning. And then as things reveal themselves, you'll continue to add them in. So with your prioritized list, look at each obstacle individually, one at a time, and say, how will I overcome this obstacle? And basically, you're going to look back at the things you identified in step 2, your tools. So I already know I have these knowledge, skills, and resources to help me along the journey. Now that I know the obstacles I'm going to face, how can I leverage my toolkit to help me overcome the obstacles? So you need a very detailed plan in place. Health, fitness, fat loss, sleep, all goals that are impacted by the fuel you put into your body. I've tried meal prepping at home, and I've tried multiple meal prep companies, including those that deliver, but I'll be honest, nothing has been better than the meals I get from Prepping with Peppers. They offer fresh, never frozen meals on a weekly rotating basis, so you don't have to get tired of eating the same meals over and over again. So save yourself some time for the things that matter most by ordering your meals at preppingwithpeppers.com. So what I'll say is, for sure, there is a common obstacle that everybody faces: counterproductive thinking. We have thoughts about what's going on that do not serve us in reaching our goal. They hold us back. It can be things like, I deserve 15 more minutes of sleep because I've been working hard, so I'm going to hit the snooze button. That sounds good in the moment, right? Like, I have been working hard, so I deserve this extra sleep. But you're also breaking the promise to yourself in terms of you told yourself when you needed to get up and why. So now you're sleeping instead of doing something that you told yourself you were going to do. So you broke a promise to yourself. You threw off your plan and your timeline for the day. So that counterproductive thought of, I deserve this. Yeah, you got that extra sleep, but you did it at the sacrifice of your goal. So it's a counterproductive thought. Now, here's a good one. Since we're going into summertime, I know that the weather can have an impact on how you feel about eating and drinking. So you might say, it's great weather outside to sit on a patio and have a glass of wine or a margarita or have a drink, right? Enjoy the weather. And so because there's nice weather out, situationally, you are thinking it's okay for me to have something that might not be productive toward my goal. Like, I know that alcohol is not going to help my mental capacity with clearly thinking and working toward the things that I want to work toward. I know that if I have health, fitness, nutrition goals, I know that drinking alcohol is counterproductive to all of those things. And due to a situational environment of like, it's just nice weather, so I feel like I should, let loose, like have a drink or have a cheat meal or, enjoy something else that's not productive because of the weather or because my friends are hanging out and I'm going to do it to be social. Those are counterproductive thoughts that are going to lead to behaviors that are counterproductive to your goal. So ultimately, they do not serve you. Or you might have one that's like, I wish I had started whatever the goal is in my early 20s. And now I feel like it's too late to get started. As long as you have air in your lungs, it is not too late to go after the goal you want to go after. It's not too late to start taking action toward what you want to do. But if you are thinking that it's too late, then it is. If you're telling yourself you can't go after it because of the age you are or the point you are at in life now, then you will not go after it. It's a counterproductive thought, because as long as you can breathe, as long as you can move, you have the ability to take action, but you're allowing your thoughts to dictate whether or not you take action toward that. And it's holding you back. So there's just a few examples of how counterproductive thinking can be an obstacle, where you get in your own way of the goals that you want to go after and accomplish. Now, every goal is going to be different. So we're not all going to face the same exact obstacles. But that counterproductive thinking, that's a common one. The time management, it's a common one. There's a lot of different things for you to think about. But like I said, you'll have things that you know for sure. When you think about your goal, you're going to hit an obstacle, and you need to put a plan in place. Now, the next part of this, once you've gone through your obstacles and you've gone through looking at how you plan to overcome them by using the knowledge, skills, and resources that you currently have, you might identify that you're going to face obstacles that you are not currently equipped to overcome. You may have a gap in the knowledge, skills, and resources that you need to be able to overcome certain obstacles. So this is where you're going to identify that you've got it all laid out. And as you're looking at how to overcome them, you're going to realize, like, maybe I don't have the education that I need to be able to accomplish this right now. Maybe I don't have a relationship that I need to be able to accomplish this right now. Or there's a skill that I just don't have that I know I'm going to need. So if once you identify those gaps, that's the next part of your plan. Since I know for sure there are certain obstacles I'm going to face, I'm going to start right there. Do I have any gaps in my ability to overcome the obstacles I know for sure I'm going to face? Those are the things I need to address first. And so when I look at them, I'm going to look at, all right, how big is this gap? How much time is it going to require for me to get whatever knowledge, skills, resources that I have a deficiency in, or that I need to be able to acquire in order to overcome that obstacle when I face it? And so you're going to see that, like, you have some small gaps, things that you can get done fairly easily and or quickly, and you fill those gaps. You may also identify that you have some gaps that are going to require significant time and effort. And so this is that moment where you have to decide and you have to commit to whatever time and effort it's going to require to overcome those goals. Or you identify that maybe this is not the goal that you want to pursue based on the time and effort. But before you decide to not pursue it, you really need to do a self-evaluation, internal evaluation of if that's something you really want. Because when you were looking at where you want to be long-term and you're looking at the goals that you want to accomplish along the way to get there, you should have already identified that there's a significant reason you want to go after this goal. You should have a very strong why behind it. So something requiring a lot of time and effort should not be enough to hold you back. However, it is possible for something that you hadn't initially thought of to come up to where you realize that this isn't worth the time, the effort, and there are other goals that you could work toward to help you reach your long-term goals that are going to be more efficient and still help you get to where you want to be. So there's a couple of different paths to take when you hit those big gaps that you realize you need to fill. But identifying these gaps is what the important piece is, and then figuring out how to fill them in. So that's really the main points of step 3. You figure out what the obstacles are, how you're going to overcome them with your current knowledge, skills, and resources, your toolkit. And then if you have any gaps in your toolkit and what you need to overcome those obstacles, you make a plan to how you will acquire those knowledge, skills, and resources so that you are prepared and equipped to overcome any obstacle that you expect to face. But now we need to spend a little bit of time on the completely unknowns. So one of the things that you're going to have to leverage is your why. Like having a strong why, because when an unexpected obstacle pops up, it has the potential to completely derail you. You have to be able to be adaptable and flexible with your plan and with what you're going for. You have to understand and recognize that those things very well may happen. It's called Murphy's Law. Like whatever can happen will happen. So there can be things that derail you, that get in your way, that you had no way of foreseeing. So the best thing you can do is leverage your why, be adaptable and flexible, and respond as efficiently as possible. All right. Don't let it derail you for too long. The quicker that you can adjust your plan, make a modification, figure out a way to overcome that obstacle, the quicker that you can get things back on track. And so as we get into steps 4 and 5, we'll get into some other things that tie into that a little bit more. But that's really the key pieces to step 3 of the goaltending process. So make sure you all join the conversation by dropping some comments, thoughts, questions to this. I want to thank you all for tuning in, allowing me to be a part of your journey, and let's grow.